Hey, Mira, I'm going to bed. What's that smell? By Poseidon's beard. Clayface, what are you doing here? Welcome to 5 Points of Articulation, where I review action figures and then articulate 5 points to help you decide if you want to add that figure to your collection. The 5 points I discuss are packaging, presentation, posability, playability, and price. I'm Jason, and if you enjoy my content, please like, share, subscribe, do all the YouTube rigmarole. Today, we're taking a look at the new DC Multiverse Endless Winter Aquaman from McFarlane Toys. Starting with the packaging, and with a little imagination, you could pretend that he's floating in an aquarium. On that subject, do you remember back when McFarlane used to actually put figures in fish tanks? What a time to be alive! Getting back to Aquaman, we can see this is from Endless Winter, UPC for those who want it, and honestly a pretty cool product shot on the back. The sharks are a particularly nice touch. For packaging, I'm giving Aquaman 1 whole point. Moving on to presentation, and Aquaman stands at 7 inches on the dot. First impressions, and I don't know what makes this an Endless Winter Aquaman, but he definitely looks like a perfect standard one. We got the goldfish looking scale mail shirt. It's been cast in a more pearlized plastic. I love how the scales help to hide the diaphragm joint. One minor nitpick is that they didn't continue the scales underneath. It also would have been nice if they continued it in his joints, but I do understand. A for effort belt buckle, pointy gloves with wrist balls nicely integrated, and his very fashionable footsie pants. As we can see, they've got the little shark fins on the calf, and the ankle balls have been very nicely integrated as well. We've definitely come a long way since Series 1. Last but not least, we have the head. No doubt popularized by Jason Momoa, Aquaman now has long hair and a beard, though to be fair, he did have that in the 90s. The hair has some nice highlights and shadows, and I really appreciate that it's sculpted away from the head. What I don't appreciate, and I'm sure you saw this coming, is the side eye. Hello, Arthur! Not only are they to the side, but they're also looking up, which is honestly great if you want to put him in this pose and no other pose ever, but it definitely limits action figure photography potential. Another odd detail is that there doesn't really seem to be any actual white to his eye. In that regard, he kind of looks like an old Hanna-Barbera character, and this is unfortunate because otherwise it's a pretty great sculpt. As much as I might not like the side eye, I can't pretend that this isn't an incredibly well-sculpted, well-made figure. I particularly appreciate how far they've come in concealing the joints with the sculpt. For presentation, I'm giving Aquaman 1 whole point. Moving on to posability, and Aquaman's head's on a dumbbell joint up this much, which again, given the hair, isn't that bad. This far down, pretty good tilt again considering the long hair, and all the way around. Swivel hinge shoulders raises up over 90 degrees, forward and back with the rotator cuff, bicep swivel, double jointed elbow, and McFarlane wrist balls at swivel and hinge. Shifting to the torso, when Aquaman has a diaphragm joint and a dumbbell waist, using both in combination with his head, and he can arch back this far, and he can hunch over this far. He can also tilt side to side and twist. Below the waist, and Aquaman has the typical McFarlane hips. They kick out this far and do a perfect split. Moving down the leg, and he has a decent amount of twist, double jointed knees. They are of course impeded by the fins, toeticulation, and McFarlane ankle balls at swivel, hinge, and pivot. When it comes to DC Multiverse articulation, this is as good as it gets. The range of motion is perfect for fighting, for swimming, or for leaping out of the water. For posability, I'm giving Aquaman 1 whole point. Before we continue, if you like this video, do me a favor and give it a like. I put a lot of love into my videos, and your likes help more people to see them. Moving on to playability, and Aquaman comes with a trading card and figure stand. Pause here if you want to read it. He also comes with a trident, which as you can see is all bent out of shape. If this happens to you, just hit it with a blow dryer, reshape it, and then run it under some cold water. Zooming on in, it's not overly detailed, but it's sufficiently prongy. Some nice detailing for the grip though. You might also need that blow dryer for his hands because his grip is very, very firm. The good thing is that he can hold the trident in either hand. The bad thing is that it would have been nice if he came with alternate fists. But playability is more than just accessories, it's also about how well your figure plays with others. For my very humble Aquaman collection, here we have Superpowers by Kenner. Clearly has come a long way since 1984. Here we have Total Justice, also by Kenner. To my knowledge, this was the very first time Aquaman had been depicted with long hair and a beard. Here we have DC Universe Classics by Mattel. And here we have DC Essentials. Up till now, this was my go-to. If you wanted to swap them, it would take a little bit of dremeling because the pegs don't match. It would also take some repainting, but size-wise, it isn't bad. I dare say it scales pretty well. Conversely, here's the Multiverse head on the Essentials body. Personally, I think it looks a bit too big. It's also very loose. And on the subject of DC Essentials, here's a spooky version. Also on the subject of DC Essentials, and here we have his archenemy, Black Manta. Hopefully McFarlane gives us one. And then expanding on the Aquaman cast, and here we have Aqualad. This one's from the Brightest Day series by DC Direct. I would show Mira, but I've decided due to fan outrage to cut her role. I'm just kidding. This one is also from Brightest Day. Shifting to a Super Friends, and here we have Superman. Both of these are from DC Collectibles. New 52 on his right, and DC Essentials on the left. Moving to McFarlane, and here we have Action Comics 1000 and DC Rebirth. Lastly, here we have the Solar Suit from Lois and Clark. I see you copied my beard. For a Green Lantern comparison, and here we have DC Essentials and DC Multiverse. Here we have The Flash, also Essentials and Multiverse. For a DC Collectibles Wonder Woman comparison, and here we have New 52 and DC Essentials. And for a DC Multiverse comparison, here's Endless Winter, and the one designed by Todd McFarlane himself. Shifting to the Dark Knight, and here we have Batman from Detective Comics 1000, and the Target exclusive Battle Damage version. Of course, for a lot of us, it comes down to Rebirth versus 3 Jokers. Really, it all boils down to whether or not you think Batman should be taller or shorter than Aquaman. Just for fun, and here's an Aqua version of Batman. This was from Legends of the Dark Knight. And for even more fun, here's Aquaman with an Aqua alien. I suppose if you wanted to, you could use it as a trench monster. For the King of Atlantis from the House of Ideas, here we have Namor the Submariner. Namor, of course, was created first. For a 7-inch scale male shirt wearing comparison, here's Captain America from Marvel Select. We're gonna pretend I did that in one take. Speaking of Marvel Select Captain America, I did wonder if the alternate Steve Rogers head would fit, but as you can see, it's definitely too big. Same thing with the Marvel Select Thor. Sticking with Captain America, I thought I'd try the 20th anniversary head, but that one is definitely too small. We're also going to pretend that I didn't forget about Jason Momoa in my Aquaman collection. If you're curious about a head swap, and I know you are, here you go. With a little bit of painting, this would make a great figure based on his look from the end of the Aquaman movie. On the flip side, the comic head and the movie body is kinda cool. It would need a bit of touching up though. For a relative scale comparison, here he is with Pizza Spidey and the Spectacular Spider-Man. And as always, here he is with Stealth Iron Man. Aquaman is pretty light in the accessories department, but he does have his trident, and that really is all he needs. What I like the most about this Aquaman is his size. He scales great with both DC Multiverse and DC Direct. For playability, I'm giving Aquaman 1 whole point. This leaves us with nothing left to discuss but the price. I found Aquaman at GameStop for $19.99. Personally, I think that this might just be the best domestic Aquaman figure ever made, and that he is worth every single penny. For price, I'm giving Aquaman 1 whole point for a grand total of 5 out of 5. For another Aquaman video, check out this one on the Snyder Cut version, or check out this throwback video on the Brightest Day Mira. Do you prefer your Aquaman with long hair and a beard, or more clean cut? Sound off in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching. I'll be back again real soon, but until then, play nice and have fun.